Usually when we sit down for one of these, we're looking at something structured. A
Hmm.
tech IPO, a dietary study, a biography. We look for logic.
For the bottom line, yeah.
Exactly. We search for the bottom line. But
Yeah.
today we are taking a sharp left turn into a document that just actively defies logic.
It certainly defies the kind of logic we're used to applying. It really disrupts the pattern.
We're looking at a personal account. It's titled The Silent Echoes of Blackwood Well by a man named Ethan Miller. And I just want to be clear for you listening right now, this is not written like some campfire story.
Not at all.
It reads like a witness statement. It's got timestamps, weather reports, even physiological symptoms. It's a detailed report of this one incident in northern Scotland that deals with history, tragedy, and some physical evidence that is, well, it's frankly disturbing.
It is, and our mission today, it isn't to ask, do ghosts exist? I mean, that's a boring question, and honestly, it's unanswerable here.
Right.
Our mission is to look at the structure of this experience. We want to strip away the panic and just analyze the timeline, the environmental triggers, and the sociology of the village Miller describes.
We're trying to understand what happened in that village 12 years ago and why it left such a permanent physical mark on him.
Exactly.
So let's orient ourselves. The source material puts us in Blackwood Village,
Right.
northern Scotland, hidden between mountains. And Miller spends a lot of time, establishing the geography before any of the scary stuff even starts. Why so much focus on the landscape?
Because the geography is the incubator. Miller describes this really specific type of isolation. He talks about the duality of the setting.
Okay.
By day, it's like a postcard. You have the stone houses, the foggy hills, narrow roads. It's idyllic. But he notes that the mountains block the horizon. You can't see out.
So it creates a kind of fishbowl effect.
That's it. He says it feels like the world ends right at the tree line. It gives you this sense of containment.
Yeah.
And then he pivots to the night. And this is where the whole atmosphere shifts from, quaint to something almost predatory. He uses a phrase that just jumped out at me immediately.
What was it?
The silence felt alive, heavy, watching.
Wow. That is a terrifying description. The silence felt alive. It makes the absence of sound feel like a presence.
And it's a biological trigger, too. In evolutionary psychology, total silence in nature usually means one thing. A predator is nearby.
The birds stop singing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When the birds and the insects stop, your amygdala, your brain's fear center, it just lights up. You panic. In a city, you never get true silence. In Blackwood, that silence is a character.
It creates a sensory vacuum.
And when you have a sensory vacuum, the human brain starts trying to fill it.
It starts inventing things.
Or it starts noticing things that were always there but were maybe too quiet to hear before. This kind of isolation, it often leads to the preservation of what we call hyper-local folklore.
So the stories don't get washed away.
They fester. They stay contained right inside that fishbowl.
And the container for this specific story, the focal point, is the well. It sits on the edge of the village near this dense forest. And the source mentions something odd right away. No one knows who built it.
Which basically makes it an alien object. It's a permanent fixture that belongs to no one, but it commands the space. An anomaly.
And like any good anomaly, it comes with a rule. A hard rule.
Never go near the well after sunset.
Right. And Miller says when he was a kid, he'd ask the adults why. And this is the part that felt so real to me and so unsettling. They didn't tell him a scary story.
No monster under the bed.
Nothing. They just changed the subject.
That is such a crucial distinction. If they told a story, it would be mythology. By refusing to speak about it, they turn it into a taboo. It's a classic sociological mechanism. We call it communal trauma suppression.
So the adults aren't trying to scare the kids.
They're terrified themselves. They're signaling that the danger is so real that even naming it feels like you're inviting it in.
It's like the Voldemort effect. Fear of the name increases fear of the thing itself.
Exactly. But it also suggests a kind of collective guilt. You usually only see this kind of aggressive silence when the community itself is complicit in something. They aren't protecting the kids from a ghost. They are protecting the kids and themselves from the truth of what the village did or what it didn't do.
Well, let's get to the truth of what happened to Ethan, the catalyst. So this is 12 years ago. He comes back to the village as an adult. He's rational. He's moved to the city. He thinks he's past all the superstitions.
He thinks he's an observer now, not a participant. He believes his rationality is a shield.
But the environment has other plans. A storm passes through, knocks out the power, total blackout, no streetlights, no house lights, just him and a flashlight on his phone.
So now you've got isolation within isolation. He's cut off by the mountains, and now he's visually cut off by the darkness.
He steps outside. The report isn't totally clear why, maybe just for fresh air, but he's out there.
Yeah.
He hears it.
Trip, trip.
Yeah. But hang on, this is the first anomaly, right? Miller explicitly states the rain had stopped hours ago. The ground is drying.
Right. He makes a point of saying that. It's quiet, and it's dry.
So you have this cognitive dissonance. His eyes see dry, but his ears are hearing wet.
This is where the brain starts to glitch. It's trying to reconcile this conflicting data. So he tracks the sound, and it's not coming from the trees or the roof. It is coming from the well.
And curiosity wins out. It always does in these accounts. He walks up to the edge. He shines his phone flashlight down into the hole. And the source describes the darkness inside as just absolute. The light doesn't hit water. It just vanishes.
Which is significant physically. If the well was wet, if there was water down there, the light should reflect. Even a little bit. He's basically looking at a void, a space that consumes light.
And then the audio shifts. The dripping stops. Dead silence. And then, bam, a massive splash.
That sound is the weapon.
He describes it as a heavy body hitting deep water. But he's standing right there looking into the hole. He sees nothing, but he hears a cannonball splash.
And look at his reaction. He freezes. We always talk about fight or flight, but freeze is the third option. It happens when the brain cannot reconcile the data.
A break in reality.
Exactly. He's hearing a physical event, a huge displacement of water that visually did not happen. His brain can't compute the input, so it just shuts down motor function.
It's a glitch in the matrix. I can't imagine standing there in the pitch black and hearing that. So naturally, he's shaken. The next morning, he decides he has to know he isn't crazy. He goes to find an elder, a man named Harold Thompson.
And Harold doesn't offer him tea and sympathy.
No. Ethan doesn't even have to tell him the details. Harold just looks at him and sees the shock on his face and asks, "You went near the well last night, didn't you?" Ethan nods. And then Harold drops this line.
What does he say?
2 more minutes, and you wouldn't be standing here today.
Wow. That is a terrifying quantification. 2 more minutes. It implies there's a timer, a precise mechanic to the haunting. It's not just random spooky stuff.
It's a trap with a countdown.
Harold changes the threat from a vague ghost story to something like an industrial accident. He's basically saying, you stepped into the machinery and you almost got crushed.
And finally, Harold breaks the silence. He tells the story that's been buried for 30 years. And this is where that social suppression theory you mentioned really pays off. It turns out this isn't a story about a monster. It's about a woman named Margaret Collins.
And this is the pivot point where the folklore becomes sociology. Margaret wasn't a witch or a demon. She was a victim.
The source details that she suffered severe domestic abuse. Violent husband, screaming, crying, bruises, the whole 9 yards. And it wasn't hidden.
And here's the crucial detail. The village knew. They heard it.
And they did nothing.
It's the bystander effect on a village-wide scale. They prioritized their own comfort, their own privacy over her safety. They just normalized the violence to avoid the awkwardness of intervening.
So the story goes, on a moonless night, Margaret couldn't take it anymore. She walked to the well. And the villagers heard only one sound. That same sound Ethan heard. Splash.
And here is the impossibility that anchors the curse. Harold tells Ethan that the next morning they went to recover the body, they brought ropes and everything, but the well was dry.
Dry.
Bone dry. No water, no body, just stone.
That gives me chills. So the water accepted her, and then it just vanished.
It's a physical impossibility that serves as a metaphor. The village tried to wash their hands of her. They ignored her suffering, so the land itself swallowed the evidence. She didn't get a burial. She was erased. But, and this is the key, she refused to stay erased.
Because the haunting starts immediately. Harold says every new moon, the village hears things, crying, whispers, and the sound of someone climbing out.
Which explains the taboo. They don't go near the well because they're guilty. They know who is in there. Every time they hear that splash, it's an indictment of their own failure.
They're not afraid of a ghost. They're afraid of judgment.
Exactly.
So Ethan is listening to this, and you'd think he would just pack his bags and leave. But he doesn't. He does the one thing I was just screaming at the text for him not to do. He decides to verify it.
He needs empirical proof.
Sure.
It's that compulsion to repeat the trauma. He can't live with the ambiguity of, maybe I just imagined it. He needs to know if the logic of the world is broken.
He chooses the night of the new moon, the anniversary conditions. He even notes the time, 12:07 a.m. He goes back to the well.
And the environment reacts again. The forest is unnaturally quiet. The stage is set.
He's standing there, and a voice calls out from the pit. It says his name, Ethan.
This changes the entire category of the haunting. This isn't a residual haunting like a tape recording playing a tragic event over and over.
Right.
Residual ghost doesn't know your name. This is an intelligent haunting. The entity is conscious. It's aware of him. It is watching him.
And then the visual manifestation. And I have to warn you, this description is gruesome. He shines the light down, and he sees a wet strand of hair rising from the darkness.
Oh, wow.
Then a hand. Then a face.
The details here are so specific. Empty eyes, a wide mouth. But the one that matters is the neck.
Her neck was twisted backward.
That is abject horror. It's a distortion of the human form that signifies violence. It's not just scary, it's biologically wrong. It forces him to confront the physicality of her death.
It strips away the romance of the ghost lady and shows the brutal reality of a corpse.
Yes.
And she speaks again. She whispers a command. 3 words. Take my place.
And suddenly, Harold's warning makes perfect sense. 2 more minutes and you wouldn't be standing here.
Take my place.
It implies a transaction. This is not a ghost trying to scare him away. This is a prisoner looking for a swap. She is trapped in that dry well, which sounds wet, and she can only leave if someone else falls in to occupy that space.
That is horrific. It turns the ghost into a predator. She's headhunting.
Or is she... I mean, think about the desperation. 30 years in the dark? Is it malice, or is it just this frantic need for a release? She's stuck in the moment of her suicide, surrounded by a community that failed her.
So take my place might not be a threat.
It might be a plea. I can't do this anymore. You do it.
I don't know which interpretation is worse. Ethan passes out. The terror creates a physiological shutdown. He wakes up the next morning on the ground, villagers standing over him. He's alive, but he's not the same.
And this is the part that Miller presents as his proof.
His hair. Overnight, his hair had turned completely white.
There's actually a name for that, Canidi di subita or Marie Antoinette syndrome. History's full of anecdotes about this. Thomas More, Marie Antoinette before the guillotine. The scientific consensus is usually that it's a form of rapid alopecia. The dark hair falls out from stress, just leaving the existing white hair. But Miller claims the pigment itself changed.
Whether it's medically exact or not, the symbol is clear, isn't it? He's been branded.
Exactly. It's a somatic marker. The trauma was so severe it rewrote his biology. He carries the mark of the well now. He is a living testament to the very thing the village tries to ignore.
Every time he looks in a mirror, he sees the well.
Yeah. And when he looks at the well itself that morning?
Dry. Just a dusty old hole in the ground. The monster is gone.
But the audio remains. He ends the account by saying the haunting continues. Every new moon, if you listen, you can still hear the voice.
Take my place. And that's why he wrote the document. He says, and I'm quoting, I fear if I don't write it, the next name will not be mine.
What do you make of that line? That feels significant.
I think it's an act of transmission. He thinks by sharing the story, by warning us, he keeps himself safe. Or maybe he feels like he's still on the hook.
That he escaped the transaction once, but the contract is still open.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to break the isolation.
Yeah.
The village kept it a secret, and that secrecy gave the well its power. Ethan is broadcasting it to the world, maybe hoping that sunlight, metaphorical sunlight, will kill the virus.
But look at the cost. He's alive, but he's marked. He's an outsider now, just like Margaret was. He has been initiated into her world.
So when we step back and look at the silent echoes of Blackwood, well, what are we really looking at? Is it just a ghost story about a wet lady in a hole?
I don't think so. I think it's a story about the failure of a community. The horror isn't the ghost. The horror is the silence of the neighbors. The ghost is just the symptom. That dry well that sounds wet is a perfect metaphor for a truth that people try to deny. You can say the well is dry, you can say we didn't hear anything, you can say it's not our business, but the splash still happens.
The truth has a sound, even if it doesn't have a body.
Precisely. You can turn a blind eye, but you can't turn a deaf ear. That sound penetrates the walls they built around themselves.
That is a haunting thought. We're going to wrap it up there, but I do want to leave you with one final thing to chew on, something that's been bothering me since I read that Take My Place line.
Go on.
We assume Margaret is the villain now, the monster in the well trying to kill Ethan. But if the village ignored her screams when she was alive, and now they just ignore her whispers when she's dead, has anything actually changed for her? Or is the haunting just the only way she can finally get them to acknowledge she exists?
That is the ultimate tragedy. And it forces us to ask, if you were trapped in the dark for 30 years, waiting for someone to finally listen, What would you be willing to do to get out?
I'll let you answer that one in the dark. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Stay safe out there.
And maybe stay away from old wells.
Definitely stay away from the wells. See you next time.